What the hell's up, Stitt-Heads? It's not a beer crack, it's a bottle crack, but it'll work. So I've had a freaking one hell of an interesting week so far, and between my son breaking his arm and then the next
Man.
day having to take off work and then him having to have emergency surgery and plate and screws in his arm and then having to take off work again, cancel gigs, had to cancel an appearance on Legit Bat with Joe and Jen, and then so we're scheduling everything right now. Canceled my gig Friday night, played my gig last night, and randomly just dropped on the fucking concrete, just backwards, landed on my head, bruised my elbow, and got a bump on the back of my head. So basically, I kind of crashed like 9/11. Maybe it was an inside job. I don't know, but that's what we're going to get into today. I just want to give you a little update on what's been going on in the Stitt world over here. But Steven from the
Good.
BG Cast, welcome back, dude. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. And yes, I mean we're drawing closer to the time of the anniversary of this very the most highly what I would say in this, the most highly deadly false flag, the deadliest false flag that's happened in the state of American history. And yeah, I'm looking forward to actually kind of bringing more of this stuff to light, dude, because this was such a huge, key, integral part in my awakening story was learning about this story, learning about how it all went down and how
Mm-hmm.
it was an inside job. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever saw the video, man. They did. This video came out and it described it so perfectly. It was like, how did a man in a cave on fucking dialysis somehow infiltrate the most highly protected airspace in the world? And then after managing to do that, all of these Boeing 757s were allowed to fly wildly off course for an hour
Mm-hmm.
without even being intercepted or even greeted by any kind of fighter jet of any kind from the US military. And it's interesting because I don't know if this is from a different timeline because like or if I came from a different timeline when I say this, but not a lot of people remember the incident that happened in 1998 in the New York harbor. It was like it was either Air France or something along those lines. There was an airline that had two Chinese immigrants on there that didn't have passports or any kind of documentation. And if I remember correctly, they ended up taking the plane down. They did it in a safe manner over the harbor, and they ended up rescuing um, pretty much everybody on board and taking these two Chinese immigrants into custody or something along the line. But you see the security measures from that day in 1998,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at the security measures on that day in 2001. So what happened at that
Oh
point?
yeah,
Like
what
all
happened
of this
there?
happened. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's just all the different sides of it if you think about it. Between, like you said, the airline side of everything, the side of lucky Larry Silverstein, just the one damn day that he decided not to go to work because his wife booked him a damn dental appointment or whatever the hell it is. All the intelligence agencies knowing who bin Laden was, anyways, because his name was Tim something or whatever back when he was a
Tim
CIA
Osman.
asset back, yeah, Tim Osman back in the 80s, and so it's like it's interesting when you go back and watch movies like say Rambo 3. You see the guys that Rambo's working with. That's the fucking like the Taliban before the Taliban or Al Qaeda, whoever it is. I mean, that's
Mhm.
that's like Bin Laden's group of dudes whenever they were a CIA asset and helping us out. But we know how all that turns, anyways. Is we'll feed you for now, and then we're going to throw you to the wolves later. That's what they always do. They just turn them into the next terrorist, and then they can use them as the next scapegoat. So yeah, I mean, where do you want to start? Like the planes? Because I kind of think the whole let's roll kind of thing is a little bit of horse shit too. I mean, I don't know. Where do you want to start?
I guess let's put it this way, man. So, I mean, this is what I think that we encountered that day as Americans. I'm gonna call it a full-blown hypnosis event. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
why I'm gonna call it a full-blown hypnosis event because uh, when you use fear to that capacity, right? When you use like an attack on the country and you use fear to that capacity, you directly dive in and you directly intercept what I call the human being core emotional complex. And with intercepting that, especially putting somebody in such a state of mesmerized terror
Mm-hmm.
as they were doing that day, you're going to believe anything that makes the situation seem like it's safe or it's taken care of or any kind of solution that
Like it
comes towards you.
justifies it.
So
Yeah.
justifies it. So like when you look at the whole scope of this story, right? And all of the things that are kind of interwoven into it, such as World Trade Center 7 just completely
Hmm.
falling randomly. What was it, 6 to 8 hours after the
Yeah, we've heard of
fact?
two girls, one cup. This is called two planes, three buildings.
It did 100%. 100%, man. And also too the 911 calls calling and reporting the explosions in the basement of the trade centers. 10 minutes before the first plane ever actually made an impact. Um,
Mhm.
how how a passport can completely survive a raging, roaring fire and land on the sidewalk unscathed and untouched, even with all the debris and all of the rubble from the buildings collapsing. It sure
Magic.
was an immaculate passport just laying there just for everybody to see. So, and that's what I think it was the huge driving factor for it, man. We were at the cusp of the new millennium at that time.
Hmm.
We walked into the year 2000, and with this, we were basically walking in towards an expansion of human consciousness. Now we're out of the 19s, the 18s, the 17s. We've moved past all of this time into this new millennia, and that symbolically represents for the human race, big things happening, an awakening of sorts,
Hmm.
we're stepping into this strange, unknown, uncharted territory. With that comes and awakenings and realizations of what could be and what is to come. And of course, we know that is a very threatening thing to the parasite class. And we know that these people have the human psyche and the human consciousness um, very well figured out. That's the one thing I can give a world of credit to them for is like they know the human psyche and they know human consciousness very well. And so that's why when you look at the plane stories of, how there was four guys with box cutters and 120 people on this plane didn't feel like taking a cut or a slash
Yeah.
to save their lives. Because, dude, I'll tell you what, like me, if I was stuck on those plane with those four dudes, I'd be going full bore. I'd be
Yeah.
like, what? All you got is box cutters, man? Let's fucking roll. I'm ready to get cut to save my fucking life.
Right.
And I mean, yeah. So I mean, you see that's kind of what where I'm at with it, man. Is it's like it was even as far as the planes goes, every single aspect of the mainstream narrative, if you are looking at it from an objective point of view and you're not getting caught up in the mesmerized terror, you can see that absolutely none of it makes a fucking lick of sense from the start.
None, dude. Yeah. I mean, that's just with pulling one or two little threads, none of it starts making any sense. Like you said, the
Exactly.
passport, it's like all those missing 411 cases almost, where it's like, hey, we searched this area 20 times already with 200 men. And then days later, oh, look what we missed. You're like, yeah, okay, cool. Like police evidence kind of shit, you know?
Yeah, it's freaking wild, man. Like, to believe it, and it's like they knew one of the other things too. In 5 minutes within the first plane hitting, they knew it was Osama bin Laden. Within 5 minutes, they already knew who it was, and it's like
Interesting.
it's like like I said, because that's where I think how they got it over on the general collective, and
Hmm.
that's how they made the general collective believe this bogus ass fucking story of how this all went down in the first place was through the hypnosis of fear.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's a funny thing that like I was kind of telling my wife the other day after we had this recent trans shooter at the Catholic school and everything last week.
Mm,
And I'm like, we're seeing these almost similar um post 9/11 reactions right now out of people because so the point I'm making between the correlation between those two is like after
mhm.
9/11, remember everybody said, I don't care if the NSA or the government spying on me, I've got nothing to hide. Okay, fast forward 20, 25 years later, and you're in the UK and other places, you're getting arrested for tweets, you're getting, put in jail, you're losing your job and shit.
Mhm.
So then think of modern times now. Just last week, we had this trans shooter. Now you got all the gun owners. I got a whole safe of guns right there, man. Like I'm a total gun owner guy, and it's
Of
First
course.
Amendment rights. I mean, it's in the Constitution. But now people are saying, well, we need to take guns away from transgenders, and you're like, wait a minute, man. That's that same slippery slope you said about nothing to hide. Because say a Democrat comes in office next term and they say, well, man, mental illness, anybody that had a red MAGA hat on, guess we got to take your guns away. Like it's very reminiscent that people, like they said, never forget, but we keep letting the government do the same fucking shit to us over and over again because it's somebody else we point the finger at. Brown people, let them get searched at
100%.
the airport, White people, we got nothing to worry about. But hey, I flew recently. At least they let you keep your shoes on now.
I know, right? They let me keep my hat on when I went through security. I'm like, well, here's the thing, man, and this is where it kind of all comes into play. And this is why I think, we're dealing with some kind of hypnosis at this point. I used to think cognitive dissonance, like even in 2016 when Trump was first fucking elected,
Hmm.
I would still even say cognitive dissonance. No, no, we're under some kind of hypnosis at this point. I'm convinced, because here's the thing. You think by now, due to strict observation, a lot of people, even people in our community, would understand the nature of the mainstream politician at this point. Like, you know what I mean? We would have like some kind of understanding, because anything that they're doing towards one specific group of people
Hmm.
is, and if they leave it open, and what I'm kind of getting with this is look at what's happening in DC right now. Now, as a DC native, or as a DC area native, all right. I'll be the first to tell you, DC has always been a shithole.
Yeah.
It always has, man. And it's like, and that's just, I mean, every time they show it on the media, they show Northwest and Southwest, which are like the two smallest but nicest portions of DC.
They
And
show
then,
the memorable areas, the stuff you
yeah,
see in movies and stuff. Yeah.
dude, if they give you a full glimpse of DC, you would see that Northeast and Southeast, their two biggest sections, are just one giant section of projects. Both of
Yeah.
them, they're one section of projects, man. But what I'm getting at, the case in point here, is martial law was enacted during COVID. It was in 2019 to 2020, and it was never unenacted. It's still technically in effect right now, and it still can be pulled out and used whenever the president or whatever governing body feel when they feel it's necessary to use. So this is a case in point example of what we're seeing with that in DC right now. Is there, because martial law was enacted back in, like I said, it was one of those dates, 2019, 2020, and it was never taken out of effect. This is an example of what's happening now. It's like, first it's going to be for the homeless people, and first it's going to
Hmm.
be for the drug addicts, but then it's going to be people who don't agree with the narrative, and then it's going to be people who are thinking differently, or having their thought
You
crimes and
shared a
things like
Jew
that.
meme and you're going to jail. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, you shared a Jew meme, and you're going, dude. I gotta send you this one too. It was of this tick. It was of this tick, and like you were supposed to zoom in on the photo, and they're like, "Here's a photo of the real problem. It's this tick." But if you zoomed in, it was that meme.
Uh-huh.
The
Yeah.
particular face, and but that's exactly what they're trying to do with the whole trans gun thing. It is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This has been their goal, to disarm us for quite some time, and that's
Hmm.
that's why we're able to do things here, even though, like, yes, America's in distress. I'm not gonna lie. There's things here that we need to take care of, we need to fix, but still, we have the pushback and the ability here to give pushback. Unlike a lot of these other countries, I mean, like you were saying, in UK, people are getting arrested for Twitter posts. I mean,
Hmm.
and social media posts and things like that, because they were disarmed and they gave up their guns. So it
Hmm.
is. It's ultimately how they do it. It's how they subtly, like, sweet talk, and how they do it is I kind of coined this phrase. It's called acting like they're part of the good vibes. Like, they try to act like they're part of the solution,
That's
and
the Malcolm
they
X shit, dude. The liberal white women and everything, it's the downfall of, but yeah, exactly. Go ahead. It's for thoughts, I mean, not thoughts and prayers, but for inclusion and helping society. And then you're like, oh, 20 years later, oh shit, where'd that get us? But go ahead. Yeah.
Well, it's also too, man, like, like it gets us nowhere. And this is the thing, is there's something, what I'm calling toxic collectivism, that is coming from both sides of the bipartisan system at this point in time. And it is, it's don't get me wrong, it's framed from there. Each side has its own framing on its narrative, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
But it's like, for the greater good of everybody. And and that's where I call it, like, toxic collectivism, because, like, ideally what we want in a society is we want a balance of individualism, and we want a balance of collectivism, because individualism, is about bettering the individual. But if you can better yourself as an individual, you can also be a better member of the collective. So they kind of go hand in hand,
Right.
So there's that balance. But what we have is, like, that toxic upsort of collectivism that they're using as this disguise to get us on board with these different ideas that'll ultimately get turned against us and use against us.
Right, dude. Tripoli put up the freaking quote of the century, basically. Let me read this to you real quick. He put this up like an hour or two ago on X. It says, you want a proper society, kill political correctness. Allowing people to act out of pocket and then not being able to call them out on their shit has called a deterioration of our culture. I don't care what happened in the past. If you act like a fool, you should be called out on it. There should be no protected classes. No one is above criticism and jokes. Light everyone up. And that's kind of
100%. I agree with that.
what we've been doing with this like podcast world and the social media and shit is like just trying to break narratives, like trying to break this idea of like, hey man, like jokes are jokes, but at the same time, like sometimes these jokes have meaning of where they came from, and then like
Oh,
it's almost
100%.
like, hey man, this fox, he was tortured in the past, so I'm gonna take this fox and I'm just gonna let him sleep in my chicken coop with my chickens. Just because he's a tortured soul, right? And then you wake up the next morning, all your chickens are slaughtered, and you go, what happened? And you're like, that's the problem we're having is everybody's like, I don't say don't care about people, but you need to care about making other people care about being functional adults and not retards in society.
I would completely agree, man. And ultimately where we're at, both you and I, we're essentially the true media at this point, man. We are in a lot of ways, and this is something I think that's being kept hidden from us for this year. Like you said, you and I have been having issues with engagement too. I think that this is their attempt at trying to push us to the back because ultimately, man, what we're starting to see. Number one, I agree with Sam's comment too, and that's one thing I respect about Sam is he when he puts it like straight to the punch like that, he's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
And
It
this is
wasn't
why
even a
we need to
funny
look.
dick joke. Yeah.
I know. Sam, he's really about his dick jokes, but no, when he actually puts it to the point like that, he hits it home hard. But that's the issue too, is we can't have this protective, guys or fail. Honestly, man, I think politicians because here's the thing, man. Politicians are supposed to be our employees, right? Like
Yes,
they're supposed to be working for us, right? So like, I've been a boss before, I've been a foreman. I'm sure you might have yeah, time ran some people in your life too. Is it completely okay for your employees to not be transparent with you at all times?
absolutely not. Yeah. I ran a 12-man
Absolutely
crew at a
not.
metal shop. Absolutely not. Yeah.
Absolutely not. But we have this too. People have become accepting of that. You know what I mean? They've become accepting of this paradigm that they're trying to push when it comes to what they're trying to do as far as being this transparent. Number one, and that's kind of why I went off on. I kind of had a stiff with Trump supporters for a little bit, dude, because so many of them were coming out and saying they still trust Bongino and Patel
Mm-hmm.
after them lying blatantly about the Epstein list in front of the entire nation. And it is, man. We're dealing with at this point in time, this really big unveiling, and the biggest places we need to start looking towards is who we're not allowed to talk about, who we're not allowed to scrutinize.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we can kind of start diving deeper into those territories, we're going to
Some
start
band-aids need to
uncovering a
be
lot of
pulled
truth.
off for sure. Yeah.
A
Well, and then
hundred
it's also
percent.
it's like Scarface said, the eyes Chico, they never lie. And it's like, look at Cash Patel, dude. That guy's got the shiftiest eyes on the damn planet. Like I don't know if he even ever believes a damn word he's ever saying. And it's funny because some of these guys, it goes to show that I don't know if you would necessarily say grifter. I mean, it's grifter territory because Bongino ran on Epstein files and all this Epstein shit, just kind of like I think a
Hmm.
more moderate Alex Jones. I mean, he's a Republican guy, but I'm saying like not as over the top and blah, blah, blah. But for his podcast, he was running on that Epstein shit forever. Cash Patel was talking about it forever. Then they all get in office, and then wait a minute, there's phase one files with all these influencers. Then wait a minute, there's no files. Well, Pam Bondi said there was 10,000 hours of video of kids getting, assaulted. Well, no, that's a Democrat hoax. Now here we are. Did you hear the latest? Fucking Senator or Speaker Mike Johnson said the other day, Donald Trump was an FBI informant for Jeffrey Epstein case. You're like, get the fuck out of here. Back to what you're saying, this hypnosis. Like, whether it was 9/11, whether it's now, like the hypnosis we live under is like, there are my Republican friends that actually believe that shit. But
Hmm.
2 months ago, they were saying, well, it's fucking Democrat hoax. Which is it? You know?
Dude, it is, man. And well, this is the thing. This is the the whole thing about it. I mean, I even touched on, believe it or not, I was on a show earlier today where I was asked about this, the whole FBI, Trump being an FBI informant for Epstein or an agent for Epstein. And my exact response is the FBI and the CIA are notorious for setting up their own sting operations on each other to make it look like they're fucking doing something in this world
It's the
outside of
Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other.
they're
Yeah.
all pointing at each other. That's exactly what they're doing. So like to me, the way I saw it is like, well, yeah, maybe potentially Trump was working. He could have worked. I don't know, but then that would make Epstein CIA, and there's this fingers pointing at each other again, like they're all like fucking, like, oh yeah, we're just setting up this whole operation to make it look like something. But I think it's
CIA, Mossad,
bullshit.
same thing.
CIA, Mossad, same thing. No, exactly. Well, that's the thing too. But the hypnosis is strong, man, because like, I'm in the camp. I'm in the camp too, and I know it's going to piss a lot of people off. I do think the first assassination attempt was staged. As far as um other two, I'm not 100% sure, but here's the thing, dude. During what assassination attempt did you have the opportunity for that many photo ops?
I know. And then that extra camera angle that came out a couple months ago or a month or so ago, that video where you see the damn reporters, whatever it was Secret Service or somebody corralling the cameramen, the reporters over there to get that while he's doing the fucking fist in the air, fight, fight, fight. Dude, if I was like, if I was any president, Secret Service guy, I'm like, you stupid motherfucker, get down, get your goddamn arm down. Like you just
Crawl,
got shot.
dude.
I'm saying if it's a real situation like that, nobody's gonna allow you to have that. Like, hey, wait, smile, cheese. Like, what? This is not a birthday party.
Dude, I'm telling you. So, and like also too, man, you look at the cult like actions that came after that incident too. Everybody wearing the band-aid on their ear,
Dude,
like
yes.
freaking people getting tattoos of, Jesus protects Trump
Oh
and
God.
all of this stuff. But this is exactly what we're dealing with, man. This is hypnosis because
Mm-hmm.
again, like you and I are doing, we sit back and we take an objective stance and we take kind of like an overlook of everything and we see all of these things that don't make sense. And but the general public, because of this hypnosis that they're under, especially, I mean, both sides, dude.
Oh
Like
yeah.
don't get me wrong, I have friends who are Trump supporters, and I have friends that are kind of leftist leaning. They're not so far deep into that mentality, which is why we can stay friends.
Mm-hmm.
But they definitely have a little bit of a leftist lean to them, and it's straight up hypnosis on both sides. And there's even the rumors that Trump's a practicing master Kabbalist, man.
You know,
And
yeah, he kind of mentioned it in his own book or whatever. It's like what in the foreword or something like that. But yeah, yeah, continue.
so there's there's a rumor that's been going around for a while that Trump is a practicing master Kabbalist. And for me, because I'm a Kundalini yoga practitioner, man. I spend a lot of my time balls deep in the esoteric and the occult.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even though at this point I have no physical evidence to prove he is, I'm going to tell you that my answer is fucking yes, based on how he controls and how he swoons people,
Mm-hmm.
with what he says. So, I mean, yes, it might be a rumor, and he did come out with a little tidbit of it, which you're talking about in that book, that little bit in that forward. But it's to me, I look at it, dude, this guy's definitely practicing some kind of magic, some kind of hypnosis on
Well, and then that
his
gets into
daughters.
like
Yeah.
if you know who Brandon Kroll is, if you getting into like
Mm,
words and etymology and stuff, and then like MAGA and magic and like all the symbolism that ties in with all the above, and then all the gold shit, and then all the the new king and the blah. You're like, bro, and then an interesting thing me and my last guest talked about was we've seen Trump grifting with the Christians for a while and everything, and then doing the photo
mm,
op, first term, what when he had, did his photo op with the Bible and shit. And then also you see him endorsing the new pope. And then so you're like, okay, so you've got Trump dabbling with the Catholics, the Christians, and then his butthole licking of Netanyahu. So then he's got the Jews and the Zionists as well. And I'm not a person that like, oh, it's all the Jews. No, dude, it's Owen Benjamin kind of style. It's like there's your deli Jew that makes your Reuben and he's fucking cool as hell. But then there's some dickhead Jew running a CEO or some Halliburton or some military company blowing fucking kids up. Like that guy's a dickhead. But it's funny that Trump's bringing all these religions together. And I didn't notice that till last week when Velasquez brought it up. But I was like, that's fucking weird. I never thought of that.
Dude, so I gotta tell you something. Have you seen the new South Parks? Have you seen
No, I
any?
haven't.
Okay, so I'm not gonna spoil it for you.
I've
I'm
seen enough
not.
spoilers, so you can go ahead.
Well, dude. So they're panning it. So it's funny because the symbolism, because they say right now in the most recent episode they're saying Trump is fucking Satan, right, or whatever it is,
Uh-huh,
and
the
so that's
wordplay.
the play on words. Trump is fucking Satan, but let's look at who Trump basically is letting himself get bent over and reamed by.
Yeah.
And it's a
The
particular
synagogue of
country.
Satan?
Yep, the synagogue of Satan and a particular country that lies in the Eastern Mediterranean. And but also too there Matt and Trey, man, so there was actually this conspiracy that came out that Matt and Trey are involved in Q, like they've been involved in the whole Q thing.
Hmm.
Which is really interesting. But if you see the message that they're trying to portray in this new season, they're telling us we all need Jesus as our counselor. So, because in the first episode of this season, Mr. Mackey gets replaced by Jesus in the school, all of this stuff, and Jesus is now the counselor to all of the people in South Park. So, like, it's like the
Interesting.
symbolism that they're putting out there, dude. It's really interesting.
Well, do
And
you remember in the early seasons, they would have like the Jesus hotline? You could call Jesus and talk to him on the phone, and he'd be like, "What are your problems, my son?" And then he'd answer a problem. Oh, thanks, Jesus. One of the kids, and then that's when they started bringing him into episodes too. But yeah, it's interesting they're bringing it back again, and then with Trump and everything else that
and
you're
the
saying.
Satan thing going
Yeah,
on too. Oh, dude, it's
which was
all. And
funny
I'll tell
because
you.
that was Saddam Hussein right after 9/11. But yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, guy, or whatever the hell
Yeah.
he did. Thanks, buddy, or whatever he
Hey,
says.
Satan.
Come on, Satan. But dude, South Park's always been in the know. I'm just bringing it up because of how profound they've been with the symbolism. But dude, they've always known about it because I remember, I had a thing where like everybody watched The Simpsons because of them being a predictive programming machine.
Yeah.
And South Park in the recent years had come out with a couple of like very interesting episodes. So I was like, let's test this theory on South Park. And dude, there was a freaking episode in season one where Bill Clinton is with them and he puts his hand on Stan's shoulder and Stan like his eyes get big and he like backs away and he's
Uh-huh.
like, dude, don't touch me. And
Yeah.
like freaking so like they put like these little fucking tidbits in, man, throughout all of the episodes. So they're definitely in the know. I just wanted to bring that up because of what we were talking
And it's
about.
interesting too because a lot of people like the Republicans have been coming at them. And it's funny because Republicans came at them 20 years ago when they went after Bush and shit too. Because they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, well, these are a bunch of leftist retards." And they're like, "Dude, we're libertarians." Like they've always said this. They're like, "We're libertarians. We
Yeah,
shit on both sides of the aisle, and if you can't see the difference, that's your problem." Like you guys are just
100%.
making up arguments in your own head while we're just saying, "Hey, yeah, this week we'll bash on George W. Bush. Next week we're bashing on Obama. So get over it."
Well, dude, it's exactly what it is, man. No, they did come out and say they were libertarians. That's why it's funny because, like, you see, like, the left kind of like cheering them on a little bit right now. And I'm like in the back end, kind of like laughing. I'm like, bro, they are
Just
making
wait.
just as much fun as you as
Yeah,
they are making fun of them. So it's
just wait
like,
till they turn the crosshairs. Yep.
oh, dude, but this is also too, how that they're showing a good way of how this is all set up because there is. I mean, right now, how they affect people and how they get people to continue because this is something I've even looked at myself, man. Because um, how could we ultimately, shift and turn the tides of all of this, through the work that we do here, and ultimately, man, it's coming down to destroying the illusions of scarcity. Number one, because that's one way they keep us in mesmerized terror, and people continuously get roped up in the narrative is the scarcity lie. And with that, I mean, you have everybody believing everything is scarce, jobs are scarce, food is scarce, money's scarce, inflation, these orchestrated inflation events that they have going on right now. They just keep moving the goalposts, dude. We're at a debt to GDP ratio that is fucking absurd. We're
Hmm.
beyond the debt to GDP ratio that Great Britain had in World War II, where their economy collapsed,
Hmm.
and all of these things as well. So like this is what I mean, dude. They use a lot of these psycho manipulative techniques in the words that they say, in their messages to their following, that basically keeps these people in this mesmerized state of terror, right? They're even the Trump crowd. I mean, we already know the left is in this mesmerized state of terror constantly. They're in the constant victim mentality. You look at the right, and the right is in a constant state of mesmerized terror too. They're thinking that their country, I mean, well, it essentially is too, but our country's being fucked with, and it's being, in some ways, kind of silently cooed, into something that it shouldn't be. And this is how they manipulate people, man. Fear. Fear is the biggest thing they use to keep people getting roped back in. And this is why I'm a big proponent. We need to start looking at other options of government too.
Hmm.
We need to start looking at moving forward beyond this, man, because like you said, like you were talking about earlier, the grift, right? It seems like it's all become just one massive grift. And,
Right.
you know, yeah, go ahead, what do you say?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, you're right, and that's where we need to like take away fucking political donations. We need to take all that shit out. I mean, maybe like individual donations if you're like, but at the same time, like no giant fucking packs, no APAC, no fucking no money from foreign countries, none of this horse shit. Like because well, let's go back to 1776 era. Whether that history is a lie or not, but hey, it's a nice grand illusion to look at compared to what the fuck we're dealing with 250 years later. And to think back then, most of these people didn't collect a salary whatsoever. They stayed in for a short amount of a term. They did their service. They felt like they did a service to their people. They listened to their constituents. I mean, it's like, yeah, we kind of glamorize the old, the founding fathers and things, but there's that joke of like they'd be rolling in their graves right now if they were to
Mhm.
see what this country has become, left, right, center, whatever. Just modern
100%.
politics. Modern politics, it should be like NASCAR, where you have all your fucking donors. Like when you walk out like a military
Mhm.
guy with like all your badges and shit, every time a politician should walk out, they should have like a NASCAR suit on where it's got every Pfizer, Moderna,
100%.
APAC, fucking Halliburton, and this and that. Like that's what we need to get rid of. Basically, that's my opinion.
No, I completely agree with you on that, man. I know 100%. I was also going to bring up because what you said just kind of like brought this to light. I think the biggest joke I've seen this year is them asking us to help pay down the national debt. I don't know if you saw
Yes,
that, but they were putting out that ad where we could Venmo the
go
government to
fund me,
help.
go fund me, motherfucker. No, yeah.
Dude, I had about 20 minutes of laughing my ass off when I saw that. I was like, so wait, you already take so much of my money, and now you want me to help you pay down the national debt that you created by taking so much of my fucking money. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this has got to be the funniest thing I've seen. This was that I coined it the biggest joke. I was on X. I said, now this is the biggest joke of 2025 right here. The government trying to ask us to pay down the national debt it created. But exactly, no, in what agreement to your point, man, it is. It's and this is where I always come and destroy the line that we don't have real capitalism anymore in the United States of America, and that's the biggest thing because we have very small slivers of true capitalism, and that exists between the trade that we do. Like, let's say, like, you were gonna sell me a flying V guitar and you had one for sale. I was like, hell yeah, dude. I saw that new V, by the way, it looks awesome.
Thanks, man.
And
It's sick.
yeah, dude, it looks sick. And but it's like, and I'm gonna give you this cash or this gold or this silver to get that flying V off you. That's the freaking the only semblance of real capital. What we truly have is crony capitalism. And
Yes.
this is why, like, this is what destroys my freaking, because this is where when I hear Ben Shapiro and fucking Matt Walsh and
Oh my
Charlie
God.
Kirk,
Ben Shapiro.
capitalism, Ben Shapiro,
Ben
capitalism this,
Shapiro.
capitalism's great. And I'm
uh,
like, dude, we don't have real fucking capitalism because we have crony capitalism. And back when this has been going on for under the table for a long time, but it became official when corporations got the same rights as people. And
mhm.
so this is where it's even tying into what you're saying about having these corporate sponsorships on their fucking jackets, especially Congress, bro. Congress, I'm sure, man, there would be some people where there'd be no room on the jacket
Yeah.
for all all of the fucking money that they're getting.
They have to wear a
But
cape with it, yeah, hanging down.
yeah, they'd have to have like one of those capes that stretches back, like like one of those big,
Yeah.
fluffy wedding dresses they got to pick up and carry.
Right, right.
It'd be like that, dude. But this is crony capitalism, man. This is what happens when these corporations and the government work hand in hand. And right now, um, we've come to find out, we've all come to find out how the pharmaceutical industry is corrupt. We've come to find out how Hollywood's corrupt. We've come to find out how the food industry is corrupt, the banking industry is corrupt. Pretty much every single fucking institution here is tied to some kind of corruption at this point. When it comes to our environment, so absolutely, dude. I think I mean, I'm gonna kind of dive back to what Sam was saying. We need to and essentially start scrutinizing these people who work in government, whether it be at a county level, whether it be at a state level, whether it be at a federal level, and holding them to a higher standard and a higher amount of scrutiny than because this is the thing too. This is how they conditioned it into us, man. Because you see people like they'll allow politicians to get away with a world of shit when it comes to them in their lives, but if an average person was doing those same things to, like, for instance, Derek, like if I constantly lied to you, extorted you, freaking took away your rights and your freedom, she'd be like, man, fuck this guy, I don't want to be friends with him anymore, he's
Right.
too much. Like, yeah. But then you see the people in our collective, in our society, who are like, oh, he's a politician, this is just how they are. It's like they have found like this almost like, I
It's
call it a trauma
5D
bond.
chess. Yeah, exactly. It's a trauma
It's
bond. Yeah.
it's a fucking trauma bond, dude. It is. I mean, ultimately, it's like almost a type of appeased Stockholm syndrome
Hmm.
at this point, dude. It's like almost like they're okay with the Stockholm syndrome. They're like, it's part of life. This is just how everything is. They're only doing this to protect us. And this is I mean, dude, so now you're in a FEMA camp with inward facing barbed wire. Was that to protect you? Why don't you tell me?
Wait a minute. Yeah. Well, and like you said about like, calling out friends versus people being brainwashed by, politicians. So let's circle back, not Jen Psaki. Let's circle back to a couple days ago as well. Speaking of Trump. So if you had a friend that his wife divorced him for hanging out with a serial pedophile that had a secret island. And then you also had a friend that's been silencing motherfuckers on the internet and social media for a decade or more, talking about Trump sitting side by side with Bill Gates and fucking Mark Zuckerberg the other day. And you're like, if the veil hasn't been lifted for everybody yet, like, you're fucking
Hmm.
retarded, because Melinda Gates openly said that's why she divorced Bill Gates, which now that's a whole rabbit hole that I think she probably knew about the shit too, but it was just like, fuck it, I'm going to
Hmm.
get out while I can, get out and get
That's
some
what I
money.
think.
But also, then you got Zuckerberg silencing everybody, and then all this bullshit that he did with love or hate Trump. I mean, that he was silencing a lot of shit in the 2020 election and stuff on social media. So you're like, wait a minute, back to Stockholm syndrome. You've got these two guys next to you that used to be your enemies and shit. Doesn't look good for you.
Oh, 100%, dude. It does. Well, that's where we're at, man. I mean, yeah, if you had friends doing that, you wouldn't let that shit fly. But it's like, they allow these it's at the point where it's like, how many times are we going to fall for the dangling carrot, man? And that's just something I've been bringing up a lot lately too. And this is what they do, man, how they continuously keep us roped into this, is even people in our community, bro. A great example of this was Vivek Ramaswamy. And I
Mm,
bring him up a lot because here's a dude who's very close to our age. You know what I mean? Of course, like, men like you and I in our age group, in the 30s, in the 30s to 40 age group, we're some of the most dangerous men in the country because we're the ones who are gonna who have the capability to
We can still
lift
fight.
up and
Yeah.
cause upheaval. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 100%. We can cause some serious upheaval, man. And so they send out Vivek Ramaswamy, who just dangled the carrot. Oh, I'm going to tell the truth about 9/11. Of course, he's a Republican who works for the World Economic Forum. He has
Mm,
ties to the World Economic Forum. And he comes out and he's like, oh, yeah, like I'm going to release the truth about 9/11. He's dangling the carrot on the stick with the narrative. And this is what they do, dude, is they cater. This is how they continuously rope people back in our community as well, is they come out and they cater to your train of thought, your narrative, your ideology, and they say the things that you want to hear. And then as soon as they get elected, if they do, or even if they don't get elected and they go back out of the public sphere, everything returns back to the way it was. It returns back to the same centrist, um, or the same narrative cucking, fucking whatever it may be. It all ultimately goes back. And that's why I said earlier in the show, it's like, have we not understood the nature of the mainstream politician yet as a collective? And it is, this is how they operate. This is how they act. They want to do anything to keep you absorbed in and focused to this system. That's the equivalent of shoving a square peg into a circle hole, dude. That's
hmm
that's where I'm at with it because, well, dude, you see everybody, and it's like that's where like ultimately, man, where the bridge or the gap is in us moving over and handling this, is there's a collective sense of fear for what comes after that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I think that's why, a lot of people are actually hesitant to make that jump into freaking even into our side of the fence, dude. We have like that so-called silent majority, supposedly that is around that, they all feel very similar to how we do about these things, and they see the corruption and they see all of this kind of coming to light and being exposed, but they say or do nothing about it. You know what I
hmm
mean? And so like, and all of that comes from that sense of fear, and to what comes next. So, I mean, ultimately, dude, we're looking at a game that has just been dishonest from the get-go. It was set up to be where it's at right here through a collective of historical events. And 9/11, since that was kind of like the whole premise of the show today, being one of those huge historical events that gave way to the situation that we're currently in now.
It really
And
is. And that
yeah,
collective, like that trauma of what it was, think about it. Everybody says they always remember the term never forget. And then you always hear every single person when they talk about it. I remember exactly where I was on that day, like a mass trauma event, like a hypnosis event. And I'm not saying explosions or this or that or people didn't die. All those things happen. But at the
of
same
course.
time, it is a it's a big weird magic trick they pulled on us. It's like to get us so scared, like you're talking about, roped into the idea of, okay, here's a blank check to do whatever we got to do to not be scared anymore. And then that check's been wrote a billion times over 25, 24 years from then, and we're not any safer. We're in worse situations. All we did was invade country after country and fuck up more parts of the world than
Yes.
before. You get in the General Wesley C. Clark, 7 countries in 5 years thing. The only one that's left, it's been longer than 5 years, but the only one that's left is Iran. And, they keep trying to ramp up bullshit to Iran and keep Lindsey Graham's, fucking gay ass away from the word Iran because they got the minerals, but either way, it's like it's these fucking grifters, man. Like it's the inside paychecks, not the salaries they collect. It's all their military contracts, all these things. And then you just start to realize that, in modern times, if you haven't realized yet, your presidents are puppets. They're just talking heads, man.
Yes.
It's the who won't get fooled again. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Because the boss ain't running shit. The CEOs and the fucking CIA and the corporations, like you said, crony capitalism, like the president's just a fucking figurehead.
Oh, dude, 100%. The one thing too I want to bring up because you were talking about the mass trauma hypnosis of 9/11. So I mean, dude, it became they released they uncensored the censored 28 pages of the 9/11 Commission report in 2016 when Trump got elected. And it was shown in that report that Saudi Arabia, our ally, was responsible for, housing, funding, and training all of the terrorists but one or two.
Hmm.
And so, like, that is to me is the biggest batch of concrete evidence. I mean, despite what we were talking about earlier in the show, the fact that our ally, they were someone who's in cahoots with us, and we allowed this to happen. Okay, our ally had a hand in this, and we're still suckling up to them, and we're still best buddies with Saudi Arabia, and we're still real cool with them. I mean, don't get me wrong. So, like, again, dude, and what you were saying about people always talking about never forget, there has to be a balance in remorse. Yes, for the people who died, but there also should be a balance in the anger for our government who killed those people. And like I said, and this is where I think, I mean, a possible way to break the hypnosis over 9/11 would be showing somebody those uncensored 28 pages from the 9/11 Commission report. I
Hmm.
mean, those scream that this is an inside job, dude, and that's where it is. I mean, you see people even to this day never forget posting photos of the Trade Center, and it's like, well, dude, never forget your government did that. Never
Yeah.
forget your government allowed that to happen.
How about finish the sentence? Never forget to question. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And even what you were talking about too, about it is, man. And this is the way this system is completely set up to keep everybody, so distracted and so out of focus, like quite literally. I mean, everybody's flying by the seat of their pants,
Hmm.
in this world right now, dude. I'm fucking doing it successfully. I mean, everybody, we're all kind of somewhat at this point flying by the seat of our pants,
Hmm.
and that's the truth. So I mean, and this is why it's purposefully kept it this way. And that's part of the hypnosis in my eyes. They want to keep you completely diverted. They want to keep you focusing on the wrong things, so you don't catch on and you don't break free from that hypnosis, man. So, like, yeah, no, ultimately, 9/11 is a, like I said in the beginning of the show, it's a very special thing for me. Also too, because I'm a tradesman, dude. I've built high we This is the other thing I just want to throw in there. I've built high rises. I've probably built seven in the course of my 15-year career, now going on 16, 17 as an electrician. And we use the same cage model that the trade centers were built off of for each of these high rises. And dude, I watched these things. That was even like a defining moment for me, like watching these high rises get built, like right before my eyes, seeing these fucking giant galvanized 22 by 22-inch thick steel fucking I beams making this cage, dude. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's no way a plane caused that building to
Hmm.
freaking fall the way it did. There was something. It was demolition. We already have seen the reports of the fucking, what was it, the FBI and the CIA being over there overnight for like the 3 to 4 weeks leading up to the event. I mean, dude, it'll always be a special one for me.
Yeah, I mean, and they always have training or whatever they call them, like practice drills going on in the areas at every high mass, impact event. There's always just too many little, like you said, waving the carrot, but there's too many crumbs, like leaving a trail of crumbs, like a fat kid with a bag of cookies. Like it's like all these fucking crumbs just lead right together, whether we know all the answers or not. We know the answers that we're given are full of shit because it's if it just takes just a normie 10 minutes of questioning 9/11 to be like, huh, that doesn't sound right. That's a start. Then there's others that have
Yes.
been like, hey, dude, we're like way past the normie shit. We're into the steel beams, we're into the temperatures, we're into all the insurance payouts. And did those buildings you worked on, did they get terrorist insurance? I'm curious. Not joking,
You
but
know what? You know what, dude? I wouldn't be
I'm
surprised.
joking, but
I'll tell you though, dude. I'm going to tell you a story. I did do a sketchy job actually at the end of 2020. Ask yourself why Amazon is putting data centers on U.S. military bases.
ooh,
But because I built one on it's a U.S. military base back at the end of 2020, and we had to seismic proof it for bombs. So like, yes. I ask yourself why Amazon is putting themselves on military bases. That should be a little bit of a rabbit hole for kind of everybody to take a look at, man. But yeah, dude, ultimately, I mean, now I don't know if you saw this, but I guess they're trying to gear up for the fake alien invasion right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, Three Eye Atlas and everybody claiming this huge alien event's going to happen
And these
in
pods are going
November.
to come out now, is the new thing they're saying. Yeah.
Dude, they're trying to sell it, man. You know, I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think we're on the cusp of something like that, or?
Man, I think they're just throwing shit at the wall right now. Is I think what they're doing. I because with the failure of the Epstein thing, that like, sorry to keep bringing that back up, but like they flopped on that so fucking hard that they just have to keep coming up with like, Russia Gate and Obama, and then now the fucking aliens are coming, and then Venezuelan gangs and this and that, and it's like it's like they're just deflecting from everything, in my opinion. So I'm not saying that there might not be some aliens on the way, but it's pretty fucking convenient to bring that up
I'm
while
with you.
you're changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War now. You're ramping up more shit all around the world militarily. It's like I don't know, man. I think they're giving us like mainstream news talking points that might have some truth to it, but it's always that shiny object because there's something way the hell back there they're not letting you see first.
I agree. It's a look over here event, man. They do those a lot. You know, they do the look over here events, and they get everybody kind of distracted from what's going on, especially what's going on with RFK promoting the new Bill Gates vaccine.
Mm-hmm. And then
That's
Bill with Trump, yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, dude. Well, dude, that's the thing, man, because like I'm not gonna lie, even in the beginning, like I even never trusted RFK, but I said, you know what? Let's see what he does. He's a Kennedy. There could be something good that comes out of this. Who knows? But of course, like, I don't set the bar too high with politicians. I never do. And of course, like, look at where he's at now. And I know that that's really disheartening to a lot of people when I say that. We're looking at a Kennedy, who's playing the game and playing the narrative, and we know Kennedy's, you know, were kind of a little bit rebellious, even though they did play the game and the narrative at times also.
They
But
they got a little reason to play the game too, though.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I just,
He
I
at
got that.
least him, at least him. He's like, wait a minute, I know how history goes.
He's not getting on any planes lately, I heard. That's for sure.
Well, well, that's been probably a decade or more, but at least he had his wife and his family with him. Talking about the Epstein plane, but when he
Yeah.
admitted that, well,
He's not going to go missing if that's the case, or
yeah.
have a tragic ending. But
Mhm.
I don't know, man. Ultimately, I think what the best thing that we can do is we can look at events like 9/11. We can look at the 93 Trade Center bombing. We
Mhm.
can look at 2020. I mean, some people can even say you can look at Waco a
Waco,
little bit as well.
OKC, Ruby Ridge. Yep.
Yeah, yep, yep. So freaking some people can say you can even look at Waco. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Koresh was not doing some great things, but when you saw the response and how that what they did as far as all that goes, that kind of makes you kind of think. But no, we take these events and we look at this, man, and we understand that there's a pattern. We understand that there is a pattern throughout all of these events. There's a lot of different patterns that comes from these events, but at the very bare basic level, we understand that our government is trying to manipulate us. They are trying to subdue us. They do not want us to have any free thought or forward-thinking thoughts. I mean, look at all the movies, guys. Why do you think everything's a fucking revamp right now? Because new ideas are dangerous. New
Yes.
ideas make people think.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing, man. For bringing this in for a damn landing, I could talk to you all day, man. And we're gonna definitely do another one in the future,
Oh, for sure, dude.
as we always do, man. Everybody's invited back. But yeah, that's the thing is like whether it's the old days, whether it's the modern days, we have more opportunity to notice it nowadays. Back then, your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, your sisters, your aunties, whoever the fuck it was, you you only got shown what you got shown. And even just like 9/11 back then, if yeah, you had a little bit of early internet, but what you saw on the TV was what you saw until other people started uploading shit on the internet. And then that
Hmm.
kind of became the next wave of being able to notice things and dive into shit. But like the moon landing or Vietnam footage or this or that, you saw it on mainstream news, took it for truth, and then that was it. You didn't see it again. And so here we are nowadays. It's almost this like it's up to you. Like we know that it's all fake and gay. So Are you going to be complicit with it, or are you going to wake up and start realizing that like you're getting fooled every single administration, you're getting fooled every single decade, and we got to make a change for it. But dude, Steven, this has been fucking great, man. So
Awesome.
remind everybody where they can find you. I'll put your links in the show notes. I actually said that right this time. I always get it backwards. But yeah, dude, you're always welcome back. So remind everybody with, yeah, they can find you.
Well, thanks for having me on again, dude. It's always a great conversation with you, Derek, man. Yeah, so you can find me on the Forbidden Knowledge Network, with Chris Matthew, Ryder Lee, Legit Bat podcast with Joe and
Mm-hmm.
Jen. So definitely go check the network out at www.forbiddenknowledge.news and support the documentaries that are out right now. It's original homemade content made with a lot of heart and no narrative, and we don't get much of that nowadays. So definitely show your support for that. Also, too, man, I just got kind of taken in on independent media token.
Okay.
So I do kind of want to talk about that for a little bit. Corey Hughes, the producer of my network, has been releasing this token. It is kind of a way that we at independent media, the media that we are right now, can help support each other without having to really spend any money.
Cool.
So it kind of helps, share the love, spread around, and it's our way of kind of opening up our own free market and kind of working with each other as opposed to against each other. So I definitely would recommend checking that out too. But then you can also find me on all major podcast platforms: Spotify, Rockfin, Spreaker, BG Cast. You can find me on Rumble and YouTube under BG Cast, and all social medias BG Cast. And yeah, Derek, this was great, man. I can't. This, like I said, this event's a special one for me because
Mm-hmm.
this was a very key moment in my early awakening where I was like, dude, it's not right. Something's up here. So
Right.
thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's a big starter for a lot of us, whether we're our age, we're younger, I mean, young kids now are looking into 9/11 because there's so much info on it, you know? So you're like,
Hmm.
right on, we're raising the next generation. But yeah,
Exactly.
guys, remember, never forget to distrust your fucking politicians. So until next time, guys, this is another fantastic episode of Talking Stitt where we're keeping the ass in classy, and I'll see you next time, bitches. Peace out.